you get a cold, you take some cough medicine, and that's what the NHS does incredibly well. They help to fix people. But what I'm interested in is, if you don't want to catch a cold again, let's make sure you're wearing the coat every day. But it's a lot more realistic than that, because these are small things that you can do proactively, not just when you're feeling rubbish, but doing the work when you're feeling good consistently. That's what makes that long-lasting change.
Welcome to the Next Level Guys Show podcast. I'm Ian, and this is where men rebuild discipline, confidence, and take control of their lives. No hype, no excuses, just real conversations and practical tools. Let's get into today's episode. Nearly every guy wants to change their life, but few ever do, and end up living a life of regret. I needed to find out why, and I found out the key factor from today's guest. You can't change what you don't understand. Most people, they don't need another productivity hack. They don't need more motivation, or even worse, another morning routine. They need to understand why they keep repeating the same thoughts, emotions, and behaviours that leave them feeling anxious, burnt out, or never quite enough. Drawing on her work with hundreds of clients, mindset strategist Izzie Miller strips away the clichés around personal development to reveal what exactly creates lasting change and why insight alone is never enough. If you've ever known exactly what you should be doing but still found yourself stuck, this is the one for you. This episode isn't about changing your life overnight, but it's about finally understanding what's been getting in your way so lasting change becomes possible. And now, let's get to the interview. But thank you so much for coming on. It's a joy. I'm a major fan of your podcast. I listen to nearly your entire back catalogue. But for people who don't recognise the amazing self that is you, how would you introduce yourself to my audience?
When I first started this work, I thought about what it is I do, and I tried to find the words to sum it up, not try and pick a title that I thought sounded cool, but just like, what is it I do? And how can I describe that? And the term that I landed on was a mindset strategist. So you can have like a business strategist, strategists of all kind of things, people that help you to create a strategy to achieve something. And that's what I do with people's minds. So whatever it is they're wanting to achieve, confidence, more peace in their life, whether it's actually a goal to sort of move jobs, lose weight, whatever it is, a lot of that starts within the mind. So I describe myself as a mindset strategist, helping people to, more often than not, it's to feel better far more than they already do, feel like their best self, which whatever that looks like, whatever they want that to look like, more of the time.
Because most mindset coaches are these kind of like self-improvement gurus, and these kind of like the cheaper versions of what you do. They come in and they talk about confidence, success, motivation, and goals. But your catalog keeps going to like deeper themes. So you do like identity, self-talk, emotional recovery, behavior change. They just talk about confidence, where you talk about actually creating a better relationship with yourself. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's fair, that you've actually kind of figured out what people truly want, not just the buzzwords?
Yeah, I think a lot of people deal with the surface level problems and the symptoms. So they think, like, some people will come to me and say they have a confidence issue, or they don't have they're not motivated enough, and they pick out this thing that they think is the problem. Or some people even come and they're like, just my life is a total mess. I'm struggling here, I'm struggling there. And they think that they've got so many different challenges and they're too overwhelmed to even know where to start. But actually, most of the time, the root cause covers all of those challenges. And actually where we can look at, okay, what's actually the root of all of these challenges? If you resolved that and solved that, everything else would go away. And so a lot of people deal with these symptoms and try to fix individual things, but then something else will pop up somewhere else, or that initial challenge will come back because they haven't dealt with whether it's that identity piece or general, just how are you feeling when you wake up in the morning? You dread it. How are you talking to yourself? A lot of it comes back to internal language. And that has this ripple effect out onto their relationship, their kids, their work. So it's really like, if I want to make a big impact with somebody that's long lasting, why deal with the symptoms? I want to go right to the actual root so we can fix the actual problem so that then everything's easier from there. So it requires a little bit more work and, who knows, possibly a little bit more pain, I don't know, in having those conversations. But the outcome is much more what they want.
So would it be a case of, like, because you've done episodes on confidence, self-worth, identity, all these kind of things, is it that these are all the same problem wearing different clothes? Are we not tackling, like you're saying, are we tackling the symptoms and not the actual illness, problem, main source of our pain?
Yeah, I think a lot of the times we are, and we're also very reactive. So it's like you get a cold, you take some cough medicine, and that's what the NHS does incredibly well. They help to fix people. But what I'm interested in is, if you don't want to catch a cold again, let's make sure you're wearing the coat every day. But it's a lot more realistic than that, because these are small things that you can do proactively, not just when you're feeling rubbish, but doing the work when you're feeling good consistently. That's what makes that long-lasting change, rather than just, oh, okay, I've got a interview coming up, what can I do to pep myself up for that or feel better after it? No, like, let's work on your general confidence. How do you generally feel about yourself? How are you talking to yourself? Because if you're talking to yourself in a way that is uplifting and your general attitude towards life is in a good place, you much less need that pep talk or that sympathy or that support after it, because you've got that. It's not even armor, because that sounds quite defensive, but this stability, this, like, you've got abs. you don't need the doctor afterwards, because you've been strong from your core in a really healthy way. I hope that resonates.
No, it certainly does, because what I did like was how you're very open and honest in your show about how you had your own breakup, which caused a lot of effects. And it's so refreshing to hear a host say, I struggle with this. I don't know. I'm learning. I'm growing. You know, a lot of people just ignore their wounds, their hurt, their pain. But you just openly say, hey, I'm learning from this. What did it teach you, and what did you find underneath that? Was there a part of your identity that you lost that, and looking back now, you're glad you did?
Yeah, well, through the breakup, I think what that taught me in the years afterwards was that I'd always try to find safety in somebody else. So I grew up in quite a violent household, and I think I'd say that my mum was my safety net there. I felt somewhat safe because she was there. And then throughout school, like, looking back now, it all makes sense. I was really trying to find a best friend. I didn't want loads of friends. I just wanted one person that got me, understood me, and I felt safe around. And then as I got older, that transferred into wanting a partner, obsessed with finding my person, loved romance stuff, and just really wanted to find my person. So when I thought that I had, and then that all came crashing down, and I realized I'd been with somebody who had been the opposite of loyal, it just, it's like, sometimes if you're not going to make the change yourself, you need to be shown your worst nightmare to then actually realize you need to make a change. And I didn't make that change for a while because I felt really sorry for myself. But then once I did this whole self-discovery piece, I realized that I've been trying to find that safety in everyone else, and I could actually find that in myself. And it was when I started to find safety, pride, respect, trust, and friendship and love within myself that I knew that no matter what came my way, I would be okay, because I had myself. And when you are the person that you're with for your entire life, you can't run away from yourself. You are always with yourself. And so realizing that, it's like, I need to like this person. because even if I do have a partner, they could pass away, and they will pass away, or I might pass away first. Who knows? My family, there's going to be a time where they're no longer there. I need to have, again, this strong core within myself where I don't need anybody. And then from that, things just flourished. I found a purpose and was confident in that purpose because I believed in myself. I eventually found somebody who had done this work on themselves, and we begun a relationship, which I'm still in today, 4.5, 5 years later, where we're in a place where we don't need each other, but we enjoy each other's company and we want to be together. And that is so different from anything else I had, where I felt like I needed that friend, I needed that partner. So yeah, it really shone a light on habits and behaviors I didn't know I had. And I'm so grateful for it, even though at the time it felt like the worst thing that had ever happened.
It sounds silly to say I love that, but I know what you mean. It's like the universe says, "Look, you're not listening to this message I'm giving you.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to do, like, to become the person I want you to be." And I mean, I always thought this was kind of like hokey nonsense and then I kind of started seeing it as like, oh, I am trying to find a missing piece in someone, by someone else, and it's all within me. And when I'm truly happy and making friends, and I'm doing this, and I've got the passion projects, I'm great. But if I feel lonely, oh, it can be the end of the world, and I kind of lose
Mm-hmm.
myself. How did you start even pulling yourself out of that dark place to do these things? Was it literally just speaking to people, joining groups? How did you get into that?
Yeah, I think that's really good what you've just mentioned about how you feel, though, because I think if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, that would be nice, and like, oh, I don't really know what that's going to be like, and it sounds woo woo. I'm far from woo woo. I ground everything in science, and so all I would say is it's a feeling. If you feel so disconnected from yourself, it's very difficult to know what this feeling is like, and so you've got to start doing the things to just experience the feeling. If you don't like it, if you don't like feeling connected to yourself, that's fine. But from my experience and those that I've spoken to, it's a really empowering feeling. It's incredible, where you feel firm and confident in yourself. I used to have so many regrets over how I'd been, and so the fact that I can sit here and I couldn't even scroll back through my photo album from uni where maybe I'd had a bit too much to drink, or I just couldn't look back because I felt shame over how I'd been, because I've definitely not always been the greatest, nicest person. And now I can, and that is huge. And it's because of like self-acceptance. You can't just accept yourself as you are right now, because you could accept how you are now, but feel really horrible about who you were. Self-acceptance and feeling good in yourself has to include the past, present, and future. So knowing that challenges will come in the future, but you have got what you need to be able to get through it, and you will be okay, even if they don't go as well as you want them to. In the present, knowing that you might fail, but you've tried your best, it's okay. And the past, being able to realize that everything you've done, everything that anyone's done, they did because it felt right in the moment. Simple things like when you ate 2 pizzas after a night out, in the moment it felt like the best thing to do. So you can't berate yourself. You can only use that to make changes in the future. Even if I find that sometimes with this, it's best to go to the small examples, but also the most extreme. A serial killer. They kill people because to them it makes sense. In that moment, it's the right thing to do. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying there's definitely something not quite right upstairs. But it feels right in the moment. That's not to say that you should never feel bad, apologize for things. But acceptance is like, okay, this has happened. I've done this in the past. I've got to move on. So I bring that up because when you can get to that place, or at least a part of that place where you accept yourself, that feeling is so, so freeing. But it requires that little bit of pain to look at those pictures, remember those instances, and say to yourself, I did the best that I could, and work through those different examples in your life and help yourself get to that peace with it. So again, I mentioned that because it might feel really far away or feel like something that you can't experience, but you can. It just requires this process, so give it a try. So what I did was, the thing that always sticks out, I was in quite a challenging place after the breakup for quite a while. I soon after lost my job, unfairly. I went to the gym so much that I ended up losing my period. So I got really quite unhealthy. I lost friends. I felt like all aspects of my life were crumbling. But one thing that really stands out as being part of the change was, I heard Vex King share on a podcast. He said, nothing comes with a label of positive or negative. It only gets that label when you label it as positive or negative. And so I thought, okay, evidently I've been labeling a lot of things as negative. Let's see what happens if I just start trying to label things as positive, or play with the idea of what if they were good things, and that playing with this idea of what if it's not so bad? What if this could bring me a positive in the future? I don't know for certain, but playing with this idea of things being good was, I would say, what started that journey. Yeah.
No, I'm really impressed with that, because I'm going through similar at the minute. I have these phases of like intense, amazing work, and then I'll come in and go, "Oh, remember that bad thing you did 20 years ago? Remember the crap that you did?" And you suddenly start ripping yourself apart, the regrets, the pain, the misery. Like, oh, the ex-girlfriends, and oh, I want her back, I want this back, and you kind of go, do I really? And then you kind of switch back into the other version of yourself, and we're never taught how to fix that. I
No.
mean, I remember interviewing a guy called Brent Smith. He's a lifestyle coach, and he said, you can change your story at any point. You can just literally say, right, that's not me anymore. And you don't need to stay true to this version of yourself, or this version of the story you tell yourself. And that was life changing to me, because I remember
Mm.
thinking I couldn't just change. And he said, what's holding you back? What's stopping you? You decide, this is now my story. You can change yourself. And just the fact someone said that to me. And then I remember reading something on regret. I can't even think who it was. And they said it was something like, you do what you did with what you knew for the best at
Yeah.
that moment. And it's much, the actual original quote's much better. And it was kind of like, oh, right. It was like they gave you the freedom. Was it that
Mm.
Vex interview that you just went, okay? Or were you leaning towards fixing yourself at that point? Where you try to pull yourself back into who you were, find your identity again?
Yeah, I think I'm really passionate about making sure people don't think that there's going to be a light bulb moment where everything changes, because I think I thought that for quite a while. My parents also, my mum brought me up Christian, and I went to a few sort of Christian weekends, and people would stand on the stage and share this one moment where they saw the light, and it made them fall in
Yeah.
love with. And so you kind of think, okay, well, I'm doomed until that happens to me. And so that's why I'm quite cautious with that sort of Vex King thing, because yeah, you're absolutely right. Things were sort of in process just before that. COVID happened, and I'd been, wasn't crazy toxic, but really not having behaviors that was great for me. I was going to the gym a lot to distract myself from how I was feeling when I was living in London before COVID. But during COVID, I moved back home with my mum and my sister, and not the greatest of households. My sister can be quite challenging. But it forced me to slow down a bit. I also had a manager who was really wonderful in helping me to start to realize that maybe I wasn't as awful as my previous manager who got me fired had kind of implied that I was. I also found out that my ex had moved on with somebody else, so that was a little bit of closure there. So it's all these like sort of small things. But if I hadn't have had the headspace of, okay, like enough now, I want to feel better, I would have just focused on everything that was still bad in my life. So it did come with this sort of, let's look forwards. I'm fed up of feeling like a victim. I don't like this feeling. I want to feel something better. So I think I was starting to explore what that might look like. And then when Vex King said that, it just sort of clicked everything into place a bit more.
We have a very similar kind of like situation, and something I really struggle with. Like I have OCD, I've got depression, I've got intrusive thoughts, and I kind of ruminate over and over. And you get to a point where you're thinking, is this real? Is this just a ritual, a routine in my head? Or is this how I'm remembering it to beat myself up? Or, and there's a lot of people who are in that similar situation of they're blowing it way out of proportion in their head, because you can carry around the best friend in your head, or you can carry around a prison that you can't
Yeah.
escape. How do we know when we've actually started losing ourselves? Like, how do we start abandoning ourselves without realizing it before we get to that point of total despair?
Yeah. Again, I think part of the problem stems from it not being taught in schools at all. I think, first of all, I'm sorry to hear that you experience those things. I have depression, and it's that thought of what's the point is something I would never. It's probably one of the worst places I could ever sort of wish for someone to be in. It's really difficult. I would say that less about noticing it. Let's just move forwards now. Like, question one, are you feeling the way that you want to? Consistently? Okay, no. Okay. How do you want to feel? Pick 1 to 3 words. How do you want to feel most consistently? Or if you find that hard to say, how would you describe yourself when you feel your best? And you can imagine yourself as a 6-year-old on your birthday. Like, how did that feel? Or Christmas Day. For me, my words are, when I'm feeling my best, I am enthusiastic. Enthusiastic is my middle name. I'm also calm, because if I'm just enthusiastic, it's a bit too much. The calm is really important for me to feel grounded. And I'm bold. So I am courageous, able to do things that are scary. Those 3 things are how I want to feel. Okay, so you've admitted that you're not feeling the way that you want. You've admitted 1 to 3 words that describe how you want to feel. So I'd ask you, how are 3 words, or 1 to 3 words that describe how you want to feel?
Happy, content, myself, probably.
Yourself. Okay. So I would unpick. I think happiness is quite a big word. So okay, what does that actually feel like? What does happiness feel like to you?
That I've forgotten. I feel like a shell of myself, and I think that's probably something that you get a lot in your retreats. People saying, "I don't feel like myself," and we don't even know who we are anymore. Like, how would you start moving that into that?
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like maybe content and like alive. Maybe 2 words that you know. We don't need 3. We just need 2.
Not being a spectator in your own life, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I would then ask, okay, and some people might not have an answer to this, and that's okay. What are some things that do make you feel even 10% of that feeling, like content or alive, present? What would you say to that?
Interviewing amazing people like yourself.
Oh, stop. So I would start by thinking, okay, and trying to write a list of like, what are some things that help me feel this way? And it doesn't have to be like, skydiving and something crazy. And if it is, fine. But small things like, I know that something that makes me feel really cozy and content and calm is like making a coffee in the morning in a nice mug. That's something. Being curled up on the sofa with a blanket over me, those are some things that make me feel calm and relaxed. A forest, being in a forest helps me feel calm. Enthusiastic is, doing things that I am passionate about. So talking like this kind of conversation, that makes me feel enthusiastic. Thinking about sharing what I know with other people, that makes me feel enthusiastic. Bold. To feel bold, I need to do things outside of my comfort zone. So it's starting to join the dots of, okay, and if you want to, really, this is something we do at the retreat, really take ownership of this. Ask yourself, what is the biggest belief that is causing me to feel this way? Like, I'm worthless, I'm not enough, etc. Draw a stick man. Around the stick man, write all of the habits, thoughts, behaviours, things that you say to yourself, things that you think first thing in the morning at the minute that contribute to that belief. Then look at that, think those thoughts. Is it any surprise that you feel the way you do? No, not saying that it's your fault and that you're purposefully doing behaviours to make yourself feel depressed. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that it's this moment of like, okay, hang on a minute, if I gave a random person all of these thoughts and behaviors, is it any surprise that they feel this way? No. Okay. What do I want to believe about myself? And kind of making it somewhat truthful. So, what would you, if you don't have to share, what would you say is one of the like not so positive beliefs that you have about yourself?
Oh, definitely that I'm a spectator in life, that I'm not achieving anywhere close to what I'm able to, and I'm just sitting watching life go by. When I'm really bad, I always feel like it's just I'm just here, and I could. What's the point? Like
Yeah.
I'm not living life. I'm letting it go by, and I know so
Mm,
many other guys have said that to me as well, like about
yeah.
themselves. That I know it's a major fault for a lot of people.
Yeah. And so, what would you say is a belief that is sort of true, but you want to believe more? I can give an example if.
Um, Probably. I mean, when I help people, I always feel more alive. But I mean, I've got the nice car, I've got the nice flat, and I'm just like, is this it? Is this I've
Mm,
got the nice job. I'm like, is this really all life is? And
mm,
when it's external, it's dangerous because as soon as it changes, you're screwed. But I
mm,
honestly don't know anymore, and I think
mm,
we are all at that point now after COVID. We all don't know who we are, what we want, and we're all just getting by. What would be an
mm.
example that people have given?
Yeah. So, in terms of that positive belief, like, I can and do good in the world. I am worth being here. We don't, whatever it is that you want to feel. So even if it's as simple as like I can be present in my own life. Like I'm the author of my own life. Whatever kind of words you want to use, it's up to you. And then you put that at the top of another stick figure, and write around it. Okay, somebody who believes this, like I'm enough, for instance. What thought would they think when they got out of bed in the morning? What behaviors would they have? What thoughts would they think? How would they feel about themselves? What would they think when they looked in the mirror? And you start to paint a picture of, okay, what would this person look like? And when you think those thoughts, you feel good. Like I can make you feel really calm right now by making you close your eyes and imagine yourself in the calmest place you've ever been in. I can make you feel really over the moon right now by closing your eyes and imagining that you have won the lottery. Or that might make you feel incredibly anxious. I can make you feel a wide range of emotions right now,
Yeah,
simply by painting a different picture in your brain. And this is the thing when we're in this place, like it feels like, no, this is my life, this is who I am. No, it's not. It is a result of your habits, but you're not even aware that you've made them. It's a result of you creating so gradually a language in your mind. Every time you look at a picture and think, oh, I look fat in that. Every time you look back at a memory and think, oh God, what was I thinking then? Every time you say something nasty about yourself, you are growing this bad belief stick man. And so you cannot become this other one if you don't start sort of becoming conscious of what you're saying to yourself and challenging it. I do not agree with standing in front of a mirror and saying affirmations like, I'm beautiful, when you don't feel that way. It's just never going to work. But it's saying when you, like I applied for a TED Talk the other day, or like a while ago, and I found out a couple of days ago that I didn't get it. I didn't even get to the second round, and I was so confident that I would be. Old me would have been like, well, there you go, there's proof that you're rubbish. Now it's like I can't fight with the reality, and I can say, oh, they don't know what they're missing, but I can say something more realistic, like, well, evidently I wasn't meant to do it. If I was meant to do it, I would have been picked for it. Maybe it just wasn't the right fit. Every TED Talk has a theme. They prioritize people in the area. This was Aberdeen. I'm in Ayrshire. So it's not telling yourself a lie that you are enough. You are contributing so much to this world. Like, you start small, start with something that your brain believes, but is more in the more positive direction than the negative one. So in terms of feeling like, the way you described, what is one thing that is true about you that is more positive that you believe?
That I definitely like helping people. That every day I always feel the happiest when I've helped somebody come in at the worst point and come out and leave feeling happy or achieving what they want.
Yeah,
Is that
that's where it
enough?
starts.
Or how are you finding that people hold on to the excuses of why they can't change rather than try to find even that little slither of happiness or power in their
Mm.
life?
I would say that people I can't work with are the people that don't want to change. Um, you've got to want to feel better. Um, And if you want to feel better, then I specialize in long lasting change. I've got no interest in making you feel happy for the afternoon or the weekend. It's long lasting. And that's where it's small habits consistently. So I have a 4 C's process to behavioral change and just habit change. And it starts with becoming conscious. Becoming conscious every time you say something nasty to yourself and being like, hang on a minute, even if you've just said it, like, oh, I'm such an idiot, is that positive for you? Starting to question that. Like, I used to say, oh, I can't afford that, even if I could and I just didn't want to spend the money on it. I said, oh, I can't afford that, I don't have enough money for that. And then I started catching myself being like, hang on a minute, this is putting me in a sense of lack, a state of I don't have enough for this. Let me challenge myself on that. And I would say, oh yeah, internally I'd say, oh, I can afford that, I just don't want to right now. I am now in the power position. I'm not
Take
convincing
control of
myself
the
that.
situation. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's true. Like, okay, if the Ferrari, like, no, but is this not really relevant to my life right now? And so it starts with the first C, check, consciousness, becoming aware of when you are berating yourself, and thinking, and then secondly, next step is challenge, check, challenge. Is this actually helpful for me right now? You can help more people if you are in a place of strength and happiness. So it actually doesn't serve anyone else for you to beat yourself down. And so it's like, okay, I've just said this negative thing about myself. I'm aware of that I've just said it. Is it resourceful? No. Okay. Step 3, change. Check, challenge, change. What can I change this to? If you can't think of a positive alternative, just distract yourself from the thought. It's a fine place to start. But if you can, say you've just messed something up or you're struggling with something, rather than saying I can't do it, I'm finding it challenging. It's just these slight different changes in your words. If you are a nail biter, you're aware that your nails are in your mouth, you challenge it. Is this useful? Do I want to be doing this? No. Change is obviously taking them out of the mouth. So it works for overthinking, it works for all these different areas. And the last C is charge. You won't get into a habit of this if you don't keep on that process. So I used to berate myself all the time. I used to call myself horrible things. I used to view my life as not great. Now I physically can't say a bad thing about myself because I'm not egotistical or arrogant, but I know that telling myself I'm an idiot or I'm X, Y, and Z isn't useful for me. It's not helpful. It doesn't make me a nicer person to other people. It doesn't make me more confident. It doesn't, I love watching like murder documentaries, but I know that they don't make me feel good. So it's this constant, and when I'm not feeling good, I'm not better with my partner. I'm not as good with my clients. How do you want to feel? What makes you feel that way? More importantly, what doesn't make you feel that way? And it's just trying to lean more towards the things that do make you feel good. And it starts small. It starts with becoming even just conscious that you've done something that doesn't help. So, like the rest of this day, when you notice that you've said something or thought something nasty about yourself, ask yourself, is this useful? And even if you just did that, is this useful? Not, is this true? Is this useful? You probably find yourself, you say no, and you gradually stop doing it, even without the challenge bit, the change bit. Just challenging it will help you to realize that, kind of what you're doing that's not serving you.
Wow, I mean that's a fantastic. And I can honestly say 100% they do not know what they're missing out on not having you do a TED talk, because that is life changing to so many people. And I was sitting listening to it, going, even in my head, I could feel that voice in my head going, yeah, but try to find that now. And so many people will be sitting there going, okay, I can do that. But it's catching that moment into it when you're going into your autopilot kind of feelings of, well, your brain is just throwing bias at you because it's saying, well, you want to think about this, so I'll find reasons why. How do
Yeah,
we?
because it wants to. Sorry, it wants to like. It wants you to be aware of your faults, so you can sort of. Yeah, your brain's like a weird, weird place. It thinks it's helping you, but it's not. So when you become aware that you've thought something negative about yourself, a really great way of challenging it is just to follow it up with "but" or "and." So, like, oh, you messed up on that, but I've learned what not to do next time. Even if you're sarcastic with it, honestly, at the retreats, a lot of people, once I teach this stuff, start being really silly and sarcastic with it. Like they'll say, oh, it's raining, but at least the plants get watered. And I'm personally not offended by that because it's part of the process. Play with it, be silly about it. That will still do the work of starting to train your brain to do things differently. And if you have say a negative, follow it up with a but, then say the good, and then follow it up with a but that's negative. Just don't let yourself get that far. Do the negative, follow up with the but, say the positive, and then distract yourself, run from that thought. Just not letting the negative have the last word is gonna help so much.
So then, are things like jealousy, burnout, like true self-hatred and these sort of things, are these really separate problems, or are we going back to like at the start where they are the underlying issue? They're just the symptoms that coming off this that we've taught ourselves to be negative, to be self-hatred and that, and we just need to figure out how to revamp this to check, challenge, change, etc.
I would say those sorts of feelings are just signals. You have emotions because they're signals. Because back in the day, you don't have fight or flight without panic first. If you so all of these feelings, jealousy, okay, like if you take it back to evolution, like if your mate went off for someone else, that means you can't continue the bloodline, and so all of these feelings, jealousy, grief, they're so burnout, they are signals, they are useful signals. Just because I've done all this work doesn't mean I don't feel uncomfortable emotions. I feel nervous before I'm speaking on a stage. I would probably feel jealous if I saw my partner flirting with somebody else. I absolutely would. I would feel panic if someone tried to push me off a cliff. They're all useful feelings, but if you don't listen to them and you don't learn from them and unpick them, that's where you're not getting the learning from them, and it will just carry on. It will keep shouting at you. And like depression is, in my personal opinion, and as someone who's personally experienced it and knows what it's like to have that veil in front of your eyes, like almost tracing paper over your eyes, we can't quite see clearly. You do feel like a spectator. You feel completely like disconnected from everything and everything else. Depression, as far as I've seen it and understood it and experienced it, is at its simplest lack of purpose. You're standing in a tunnel that is dark and you don't know which way to go or why you're even walking in that direction. And so you don't necessarily need a lifelong mission, a lifelong purpose to get out of there. You just need to create a light at the end of the tunnel. It depends how serious it is. If it could even be like, okay, I'm going to book in a call with my mum or my sister at the end of each month, and I have to get to that phone call at the end of each month or the end of each week. You can make it as small as you want, or it can be like, I'm going to book a trip and I have to get to that trip at the end of the year. I want to hit, oh God, you've got so many episodes, so I don't know how many, but say I want to hit 300 episodes and I'm currently on 260. Okay, that's my goal. And that's, even if you don't really know why you're working towards it, you just have something that you're set towards, and that gives your brain, it starts to undermine that depression and then that lack of what's the point, because you now have something that you're aiming towards. I've completely forgotten the question that you asked me, but that's my answer.
I have that effect on a lot of people. They kind of just go into tangent and they go, I know you've asked me 15 questions rolled into one, and it's like, yeah, we'll go with that. because that's something I've always been interested in, is that when you start challenging people and you say, but what about, or, I've heard this in a podcast, people go, oh, yeah, you could do that, but I couldn't. What do you find when you come to retreats? Because you've got an episode that's literally entitled, Do You Know What You Need to Do? When you say to somebody, well, this can apply to you too. This is how easy to change. We can find that's one good thing you're doing or whatever. How do you find people bounce that back to you and go, no, it's not me. No, definitely not. They immediately shut down and you get that panic breath, and they almost want to talk you out of being positive to them. How do you find that with people? How do you start getting through that with people where they think it's fine for everybody else but them?
Yeah, most people think that they're going to be different and it's not going to work on them. And so things that I will say is, one, we're dealing with science. Like, you might have a slightly different brain. I work with people with neurodiversity, like all different kinds of brains I work with, but at their core, they function pretty much the same way. Even if you're on medication, even if you've got severe mental health issues, at the core, they pretty much function the same way with a few slight differences. And so it doesn't matter what you think. I understand your brain. So, like, you might not believe in your personality and your identity, but I believe in your brain to operate pretty similarly to everyone other human brains. And so what we're doing is science. It's to do with your neurons and how your neural wiring operates, and we're looking at that and shifting it in another direction. So I know that it will work, and that's why I find explaining the science to people helps them. I won't go fully into it here, and it's really basic science. Is that simple case of what you focus on, you get more of. You focus on things that piss you off, you're going to feel pissed off. Focus on things that make you feel happy, you're going to feel happy. And then the more you do that, you don't have to turn your head in that direction. You automatically do it. It's an autopilot. So that's the first thing. Second thing, the tools that I give people are really simple, really easy to do. I'm really passionate about things being sustainable. Otherwise, what's the point? And being part of your lifestyle. So there's no 7-step morning routine. There's just a few questions to ask yourself, morning and night usually, to point your brain in the direction that you want to go in. And so I say to people who are really overthinking it, just be a robot. Be a robot and just do what I've said. You don't have to believe it's going to work. You don't have to like it. You don't have to believe that you are capable of change. Just do these things and your brain will take care of the rest. Science will take care of the rest. This is how it works. And then lastly, I will share examples of people who've been in the exact same situation or worse situations and have achieved this change, but usually they still think that it won't work for them.
Well, I love that, because that's what I really like about your show, especially because it gives people actual tactics to use. You're not just saying we're in the clouds and everything's going to be fine. You just go, here's 5 steps. Because I've tried talk therapy, and I found it's great at first because you kind of get an insight into your own kind of, I want to say internal madness. But, you start seeing it from somebody else's viewpoint and realize how batshit crazy you've made it compared to what it actually is. But then you keep it alive by continuously talking about it. And then I found like neuro-linguistic programming, cognitive behaviours therapy, and I was like, these are life-changing. But I really like your stuff because it's straightforward. It's almost like you're trying to tell people, become a scientist. Just do it, analyze the data. Don't think about it, don't overanalyze, just do it and become happy. Are there tools that you think that everybody, no matter their situation, would become best at? Like the 4 C's? Is there anything that you think if every guy listening, every girl listening did it, that they could get a slither of happiness, of light into their darkness?
Yeah. I would say, like, the journal prompts are the things that I come back to. Whatever you think about journaling and stuff, this is different. Maybe I need to come up with a different term so there's not those preconceptions, but they're just questions you're going to ask yourself in the morning and at night, and they're covering the past, present, and future. So all the aspects I described earlier as you need to feel good in. Usually we wake up in the morning feeling anxious about the day, not wanting to go to work, not wanting to do X, Y, and Z, thinking, this is going to be so long, and maybe thinking about things yesterday that we didn't like. So if everybody just woke up, first of all, took like even just 2 minutes for themselves to be like, hey, Izzie, like I write down in my journal, like, good morning, beautiful. It's so, like, I'm not saying you should do that because it's probably going to feel really weird for you, but we say hello to everyone else. We get on with our day. We don't give ourselves a time of day. Just say good morning to yourself. It's going to feel weird, but how can you expect to feel connected to yourself if you don't even acknowledge yourself in the morning? So it's like, okay, like, we're here for another day. Then you're going to ask yourself, how do you want to feel today? So you can write, I'd recommend writing it down, but if you don't have time for that or you don't want to, do it on your notes page in your phone. Just do it in your head if you really want to. I would recommend putting it down, whether in your phone or on paper, but let's do small steps here. How do you want to feel? 1 to 3 words. How do you want to feel? If you don't know how you want to feel, how can you hope to feel that? And when you ask yourself, how do I want to feel? And you say, I want to feel calm. Your body knows what calm feels like. So automatically it feels just that little bit calmer.
Yeah.
You will feel that shift in your body. Just like if you said, I want to feel angry or I want to feel anxious, you will instantly sort of feel that feeling a little bit more. So how do you want to feel? We're going to ask 3 things that you, or even just one thing, for starting really small, one thing that you're grateful for and why. It's easy to list off like, I'm grateful for water, I'm grateful for grass, I'm grateful. But that doesn't come with any emotional connection. What is one thing, if we're starting really small, that you are grateful for and why? This is about, things might not be perfect in your life, but what is one thing that you are grateful for? And small things like, I'm grateful for my toothbrush because it means that I don't go out with smelly breath. I'm grateful for toilet roll because that would be a really not great day if I didn't have any toilet roll this morning.
Yes.
I'm really grateful for this clean glass that I've got. It really tiny things. I kind of don't want you to deal with the big things. The small things, just look around your room. What's something that you're grateful for? And then what is something that you were looking forward to in the day? So rather than thinking about what you're dreading, what is something you're looking forward to? This sounds like a lot, but all it is acknowledge yourself. How do you want to feel? What's something you're grateful for and why? What you're looking forward to. It takes 2 minutes to do, and you can do it whilst walking to the train station. And then in the evening, I used to fall asleep or struggle to fall asleep thinking about things that I'd said that I regret, or overthinking things, getting worried about the next day. One thing that has made sure that I haven't had a bad day in 5-6 years is by asking myself, what was my favorite moment of the day? Rather than thinking about the parts that you didn't like, what was your favorite moment of the day? This is really clever because your brain starts scanning the day, observing the different things that happened through a positive lens. Could that have been the favorite moment of the day? Could that have been good? And you'll typically find that it wasn't watching TV. It was that exercise class you did that you didn't want to do, or that walk to work where you wish you had driven in the morning. Bless you. So that question, so powerful. If that's all you did, what was my favorite moment of the day? That would start training your brain to start looking for the good stuff. What's one thing that you're proud of yourself for today? That's kind of looking at the past. In what way do I feel good about past me? One thing that you were proud of yourself for today. And then I would typically also do, what am I looking forward to tomorrow? So again, you're thinking future, what's good in the future? So to recap, favorite moment of the day. What was your favorite moment of the day? Something you were proud of yourself for, and what are you looking forward to tomorrow? If you just did those 3, it's going to start having a difference. Not if you just do it for 3 days, but if you do it every day. Do it with your partner, do it with your kids, do it with your colleagues at work. Try and find a way to make those questions part of your daily lifestyle, because even if they feel so silly and so small that they're not going to make an impact, I promise you, based on my understanding of the brain, my own experience and having worked with hundreds, thousands of other individuals, it does make an impact, and a considerable one.
It's time for a quick break. There are millions of potential products to buy, so how do you know which ones are worth your hard-earned money? Simple. You go to nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and explore those that will transform and improve your life. You'll find deals, listener exclusives, and special offers with some great companies. Recommendations are 100% honest and only on items Ian has tried or believes in. The companies showcased will make you a better man in all areas of your life. Simply go to nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and level up.
I love that because I used to do the gratitude thing of I would just say out loud, like a lot of times I'd be in my car and I would have a little prompt that would come up on the screen and say, 3 times gratitude things, and it would be. And my brother used to always say to me, yeah, it's great, but do things like water, and I'd be like, no, I need stuff that actually affects me. So it would literally be, I left work early and I missed the traffic, or
Nice. Yeah.
I did silly like things where, and I suddenly started seeing all these little things I was grateful for, like that I was really tired and this guest asked could move it back 2 hours, so I got a chance to get dinner before an interview.
Nice.
All these
Yes.
little and it sounds silly to other people, but to me it was kind of like I'm really grateful for that. And then when I started seeing that, I really like the idea of then taking that as what were the good things of the day, not just what you're grateful for, but I've never really used that, and I like the idea of trying to shape the brain into a positive lens. But have there been people who have none of these tools have worked for, or are they down to that situation of not really wanting to change? They almost enjoy being where they are.
I mean, if usually the people I work with want to change to some degree, even if they don't think they're capable of it. Every single person I've worked with that has done these prompts has felt better for them. And yes, quite a few of them have said, "Oh, am I doing it right?" You can't do it wrong. You really can't. That's so simple. You can't do it wrong. Just stick with it, and then they stick with them, just like be a robot. They just do them. They just answer them, like almost like it's homework, and then they do start feeling better. There's like this. I don't come up with much new stuff because the core stuff works. It's like you'll hear me say 1,000 times, watch 10 minutes of comedy before bed, watch something funny before you go to sleep, 10 minutes of stand-up on YouTube, Gogglebox, Taskmaster, like watch something funny and do that for like 2 weeks, and then don't watch it and scroll on your phone. See how different you feel when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
Really, these are really small, simple things. They work because it creates a different chemical reaction. If you want to feel more anxious, I know exactly what questions to make you ask yourself. At the end of the day, you're going to ask yourself, what is something that you regret that you did in the day? What was a moment where you possibly embarrassed yourself? Think of one person from the day and imagine them saying something, talking about you behind your back. Do that every day for 30 days. You will feel so anxious. And you're also going to watch a crime show before you go to sleep. Boom, you have an anxious person. So yeah, and none of this is like lying to yourself with positive. It's like, yeah, you might have had a challenging day, but what was something good in it? Okay, I had a nice sandwich. I can get to sleep in my own bed tonight. I have had a nice dinner. You're not pretending that challenging stuff hasn't happened. You're just saying what was good about this. And it's like the reticular activating system. What you show your brain, what you prioritize, you see more of. So that's, yeah, I haven't worked with anyone that this hasn't worked for. But I can imagine that if I worked with somebody, say like some parents come to me and they want me to work with their kids, and I'll only work with their kids if the kid actually sort of wants to be there, because otherwise there's no point. They don't see why they need to change. They don't necessarily want to change or work on this stuff. And then they won't do the tasks that I set them. And so you're never going to see change if you don't do anything in between sessions. So that's the only type of person. So they never come into my area because people don't come to me if they don't want help. Yeah.
Because you see that a lot, don't you? Is people sit there and they'll say, just cut out the news and you'll be happy. And you're like, well, that's true. And then you see people who make it their entire identity to be these unhappy people. And they're like, yeah, but it won't work for me. No, but I don't. You can see they're not even willing to consider they could be happy or change. They actually almost are happy to be sad, negative.
And that's where I was as well. Yeah. And that's why, unfortunately, for those people, it's probably going to take a catastrophic event or a near-death experience or the death of a loved one to realise I'm wasting my life. And yeah.
Because one of your favourite episodes was, I'm trying to remember the exact title, but it was something like, what if you got curious instead of critical? And I loved that because it was that moment of like, Yeah, when I'm not just sitting bitching about this or negative about that, when I'm actually using, I've got like I use ChatGPT and I use a curiosity lab. So whenever I see something, even if it's something really bizarre, like how such and such made, or why do we use this kind of handshake or whatever, I put it in and it lets me become curious, and I build and build and build, and I've ended up interviewing people on topics because it's got me intrigued in certain ways.
Yeah.
Is how do we use that concept to help us change? Is it literally just using the but and the and to say, instead of being critical, say, but why did that happen? Why am I thinking that? How can I change that?
Yeah. So those are, I suggest those as tools because they're probably easier to remember. It's like, oh, Izzie said say but, so I'm going to say but, and then it kind of leads you to say something different. But yeah, it's being curious instead of critical with your feelings. So if you realize that you're thinking back to something that happened 20 years ago and feeling anxious about it, okay, why am I feeling anxious about this? Okay, because I wish I hadn't done it. Okay, why do you wish you hadn't done it? I wish I hadn't done it because it upset somebody. Okay, and have we learned from it? Have we done something similar since? No. So we have learned from it. Yeah. Okay, well, how great is it that that happened, that we now know that we don't want to do that again? And maybe that stopped us drinking. Maybe that stopped us hanging out with that certain person. So it's, yeah, starting to be curious. I had a experience during this deep development, self-development phase when I first started doing this, where I was working for a university, and so you have universities, and then sometimes you can have micro campuses, satellite campuses. So I was at one in London, there were two, and I was the sole person in one, and then my manager sort of floated between them. And so that meant that I was responsible for so many different areas, and that when you focus on so many different things, you can't be focused on one thing. And so one summer, the university said that they were going to create projects. So actually, rather than being responsible for everything, I would just be in charge of certain projects. So things would be almost like categorized and given to certain people. And so that was like a breath of fresh air. Okay, great. I'm going to have this. And then this new girl joined the team at another campus, and she started wanting to get involved in all of the projects that I had been given. And I found myself getting really annoyed at her internally, like, she's so annoying. Like, why can't she just leave my stuff alone? And I had a one-to-one with my manager the day after she had been really irritating me. And so I was going to go to my manager and say, look, can she's really bothering me, and sort of have a go at her. But something told me to get a piece of paper. It was a napkin, or I can't remember, a scrap piece of paper. And I just wrote down the situation. The situation is this girl is like taking over all my stuff. I was like, okay, next question? What's the problem with that? Problem with that is she's like, I want this stuff for myself. And I unpicked why I was feeling this way. And after doing that, it was only a few lines of unpicking it. I realized it's actually great that there's somebody so enthusiastic to level my enthusiasm levels, and that somebody actually cares enough to want to do this stuff with me. So, okay, so Izzie, what's the problem then? The problem is that I feel like I just want something of my own. So it's actually nothing to do with this girl, and it's all to do with the fact that I just want something of my own. So when I had this meeting with my manager, instead of bitching about this girl, I was able to say to her, I love this girl's enthusiasm. I think you've picked somebody perfect to be part of the team. But I just wondered if it's okay for me to just have one thing that's mine, that I know that I can focus on. And she completely understood. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, you can do this, and I'll move her on to something else. And so rather than sort of possibly making my manager respect me less by being really dramatic about something that really wasn't, I was able to use curiosity to challenge my critique of this person, and realize there was nothing wrong with this person, but the real problem was in the structure and what I needed. And then it was an easy fix. So, and then I've kind of learned to try and do that with everything else since, with that curiosity rather than that conclusion that it's something critical. Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's like how you can go and speak to somebody after building it up in your head, and you're thinking they're doing this because of this, they're deliberately doing that, and then you go up to them and they're going, sorry, what? and they have no idea what you're talking about. But you've built this story, this identity, this kind of like, this is what this means, and this is this, and then when you actually stop and go, like you're saying, get curious and unpick at it, you go, now I see. Okay, right, it's actually something. Like I found when I started doing the podcast, for example, I loved it because I was helping fix people. But then when they got it from somebody else and they said, "Oh, I listened to such and such episode," I was getting annoyed, and I was kind of like,
it's like blood boiling, isn't it? It's like, why didn't you come to me? Yeah,
it's like you're cheating on me, and then it's suddenly your brain's going, "Oh, because you're finally getting a bit of power, and you're now," and you're like, "Okay, I can see where that's coming from, right?"
I can relate to that.
And it's that moment your brain just goes, "Oh, they're cheating on me, they're leaving me, they're doing," and you're kind of like, not another one, and you're kind of going, where the hell did that? This is a random person I barely know, or and you create all this stuff in our head. So how do we know we're actually making a change? Like, what's the, say if you come out your retreat and you went home, you met your parents, you met your work colleagues, what would they start noticing about you, or what would you notice about yourself to kind of go, I'm on the right track? Izzie's finally catting through the chuff.
Yeah. Well, I've just run a retreat, so I'll share what recent graduates have shared. So sort of when they go home, their parents or whoever they live with usually say something like, "Oh, you look like you're glowing." They then I've had so many messages in the group chat this week about things that they've done, and they've only been out of the retreat for 3 weeks. We've even, it's really bizarre. I will help you with your like confidence and how you feel about yourself. I'm not here to help you lose weight, but we've had like somebody who started to feel, talk to herself with more love than self-hate. She's actually just shared that she's lost weight. She's only left the retreat for 3 weeks. That was not even discussed about losing weight. One girl said that her IBS has been like way better. Like, I'm not dealing with that. Somebody has a medical phobia, said that she was able to sit through a conversation listening to somebody's surgery. She didn't enjoy it, but she didn't pass out or need to leave the room.
Yeah.
One girl said that she's been waking up so much more excited for each day, which is like the core of what I want people to achieve. And one girl couldn't. She was really scared of men due to some experiences she's had. And she had a doctor's appointment, and it was a male in there, and her mum was about to go in with her, and she was like, "It's okay, I think I'll be all right about going in by myself." She probably had a flutter of nervousness in her chest, but she would never have done that before. And that was with like 2 weeks. She couldn't even walk down the street alone. And then within 48 hours of leaving the retreat, she was off on a solo date. And my brain's like, what? Who are you? So it is subtle and it is gradual. With some of them it is like these big things, but you just find that you are feeling negative a lot less of the time. You're feeling even just neutral as opposed to bad, which then leads you to go outside of your comfort zone more, do things you never thought you'd be able to, wear things you never thought you'd be able to. So you just all of a sudden, like, it's only when you look back maybe 6 months later that you realize, hang on a minute, who am I compared to that person? The things I've done, I could never have even dreamed of doing before. So I'm really proud of, it's not just a few people, it's everybody that experiences that.
How does that change you? Because, it's amazing to see these people coming out and like the love that you get in the reviews and stuff like that. But how does that affect you as a person? Do you ever find yourself kind of falling into the trap of reliving your own pain when you listen to other people? Does that make you a better coach because you can actually feel where they are and know the tools to start coming out of that? Does it affect you to become a better coach? Like, how do you control yourself and not become like, I can fix everybody? But how do you make sure that you're still the same Izzie, the happy, healthy version?
Yeah, I would say maybe just because I've done it a lot, or my passion for getting people to the other side, I don't tend to get lost in their pain. But I think the thing that makes me good at what I do, because I'm not great at many things, I feel like the proof has taught me that I am good at this. And I think what I do, or what happens when I'm working with somebody, is I have to kind of put myself in their brain to be able to see and feel what life is like for them, which is where it's really helpful that I've gone through a lot of stuff myself. It's so helpful. Like you say, you're experiencing depression and you feel like you're an observer in life. I know exactly how that feels. And I'm so grateful for that. I know exactly what a panic attack feels like because I've had them. I've had situations I've not consented to. That helps me relate to so many women. I've never had a medical phobia. And so, I made sure she wasn't coming to work with me for that because I don't know what that feels like. I've had PTSD, so I know what that feels like, and that kind of links in with OCD, so I can sort of resonate with that. But so I think I'm really grateful that I have experienced so much, so many challenging things, and it just makes me a better coach because like I can't imagine going and getting help from somebody for panic attacks if they've never experienced a panic attack themselves or depression. It's so specific that I just would really struggle with that. So I'm weirdly grateful that I've had a plethora of experiences, and I will be very open and honest if I'm in saying like, oh, well, I haven't experienced that, so it's difficult for me to fully relate, but within what I have experienced, this is what I would recommend and my understanding of the brain generally. So yeah, I would say the more people I've worked with and the more results I've seen, it does make me realize that I've got a good covering of different experiences and feelings. Like at the end of the day, everything's emotional, really. And we've all experienced anger, grief, jealousy, anxiety to some extent. So if you've experienced that, you can relate and you can understand what that feels like. Because we're dealing with emotions, I can shift you in whichever direction. I don't have to have experienced the exact same thing that you did. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Because it's definitely something I struggled with at the start was I would kind of use my own examples to help them understand that I was almost like I was trying to say, look, I understand where you're coming from and I would keep these things alive. And then I realized it's the tactics they want. They don't want me to say, oh yeah, it's a bitch when that happens. Oh, that's horrible. And they just said they want me to be able to understand them and emphasize with them, but also to then teach them to lead them out of it. And I think you're more than good at it. I think you're great at it. But how do you stop somebody just feeling a bit of happiness, a bit of light, a bit of whatever it is, and then going, yeah, I'm enough. That's it. But not actually allowing them to continue this feeling and change and become, because if these people are coming out like losing weight and stuff like that, they may stop and go, I look great now. And they stop at that level. How do you let them realize that the only thing that's holding yourself back is this bullshit you were telling yourself? Now that you're getting the tools to keep using them to grow and develop.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. It's not something that you take a medicine and you feel better. It's like you've got to keep, it's like taking vitamins. Like I can do the work to sort of nurse you back to health, but then you've got to take the vitamins to keep that up. And so, I have had some people who've got to a really good place and then they've just stopped using the tools and then they feel rubbish and they'll message me and say, Izzie, I've had a bit of a dip the last 2 weeks. I was feeling really good. And then now can we have a chat? And I don't want to waste anyone's money. So it's like, the retreats, for instance, I teach them everything. So then I'll before we have a call, I'll message them and be like, yeah, we absolutely can have a chat. But have you been doing the things that were helping you? Oh no, I've stopped using them. Okay, well, why don't you try doing that for the next few weeks, and then let me know if you still want to chat. And they'll do it, and I'll check in with them and be like, because I haven't heard from them. That, oh yeah, I started doing things again, and now I feel good. And it's like exactly. So I've been doing this work for 6 years. I feel great. I still journal because that for me is helpful for me. It might not be helpful for everybody, but that's a tool that's really helpful for me. Just writing stuff down. Anytime I notice that like things aren't really going too great, like a lot of things haven't been working out for me in a 2-week or month-long period, I will be straight on that. And every single day at the end of the day, I'll write a list of everything that has gone well, everything that has been going right, because I know I need to catch my brain before it builds momentum and starts convincing me my life's a mess. You've got to constantly stay on top of it, but it doesn't mean that it needs to be hard or exhausting. You don't need to read a million self-help books. You just need to find what works for you, or even just use one tool that remotely works and keep using it. I'm not somebody who meditates these days, but when I was experiencing depression and panic attacks, I started just doing 10 minutes of meditation, guided meditation in the morning, and it was helpful. And I kept on doing it. And when I stopped, that's where, you start noticing the difference. It doesn't really matter if you haven't found the tool, just use a tool.
Yeah.
And a cold plunge. It's gonna grow your resilience over time. Even just 30 seconds in a cold plunge a day, 10 minutes of meditation, journaling, the prompts that I've just given, just pick one thing and stick at it. And even when life is good, especially when life is good, especially when life is hard and you feel like you can't go on that 10-minute walk, go on the 10-minute walk anyway. You have to stick to it.
It's like during COVID, and it's like that. I'm on a stupid walk for my stupid mental health, and people are saying if they didn't go for their walks, it would completely ruin them. And then they're wondering why they were unhappy. And you're like, "Have you gone for your walk?" No, right? You see them like studying again. And you're just like, "Why are we not? We're so used to just screwing ourselves, to like self-sabotage, punishment, pain." Do you see that a lot, that people actually start using self-development as an avoidance tool? They get so used to this feeling of digging deep and fixing this and changing this or reading this self-help book and this podcast and that podcast. They actually forget to live, that they want to work on themselves to that point. They forget to actually be themselves.
Yeah, I think Stephen Bartlett has gone a little viral for saying that he had 2 glasses of wine and it ruined 3 days of his life, and like quite a few people have mocked him for it. And because it's like, and what? And also, if you had 2 glasses of wine and you didn't go to the gym the next day, that's not because of the wine; it's because you didn't have enough, like, willpower to just go. Like, you decided not to go to the gym. It wasn't the wine's fault. And I think previously, before I got into all of this work, I was listening to like Impact Theory like 6-7 years ago by Tom Bilyeu.
Oh yeah, had them on.
I listened to. I was into fitness and everything, and I was listening to these mindset stuff and food stuff, and it was like this constant optimization and like, oh, don't have this, have this. And I did start feeling a bit burnt out and frustrated with it all. Not anything to do with Tom Bilyeu, I think he's great, but just like, when does it stop? And so I think the difference in what I do now is like, the work that I'm doing isn't to continue to increase how I'm feeling and feel even like happier than I did the day before. No, it's just to consistently feel above neutral, I guess, like above meh, to feel happy, content, making that a lifestyle rather than something I need to get more focused. I need to get more this, more. No, how do I want to feel? I'm not going to feel that way every second of the day, but just making little changes here and there that help that. Like, I don't have a Whoop or anything that tracks my sleep score. And I know that if I got that, I would wake up in the morning, I've had a terrible night's sleep. Yeah. It would convince me that I'm going to have a bad day because I'm tired. Well, who says? who says? Like, I don't need that. If it works for you, great. This is all part of working out what works for you. But I believe that would tap more into this optimization thing. I was brought up with my mum, nutrition, eating really healthy. Then I met my partner, who is not the most healthiest in terms of food. And so I don't eat anywhere near as healthy as I did, but he cares less about food. So I think less about food. Therefore, I eat when I'm hungry, not when I'm supposed to eat. I eat what I feel like I need or want because I'm not thinking about it. I'm just reaching for what I feel like I need. I feel better in myself than I don't look in the mirror at my body and think, oh God, I've put on a bit there. No, I'm just living. I'm trying to live in a way that just makes me feel good, more good than it does bad. I'm not trying to optimize because I get it. I agree. It can lead you down this hole of then feeling like a failure, because I think trying to optimize means that when you're not fully optimized, you then feel like you've done something wrong and then you feel rubbish. That's the feeling I'm trying to avoid.
No, it makes a lot of sense because you can actually see the change in you and how you are about yourself and how open and honest, but how much happier you are as your catalogue progresses, and that you can see your own development into it. But I loved the
Yeah.
bit, I can't remember which episode it was where you said about people not to come to the retreat and try to do work before you arrive. Come to the retreat to actually do the work while you're there. Do you find that people come to you and say, "Oh, I was going to come sooner, but I needed to do a bit of work on myself"? It's like going to the gym to work out to do jiu-jitsu, to lose weight to do jiu-jitsu,
Yeah,
whereas you lose weight by doing jiu-jitsu. Do you find that with people? They put off a life-changing experience like a retreat by trying to do
absolutely.
the stuff themselves?
Yeah, I do find some people saying, like, oh, I don't think I'm ready. I think I need to, get myself to a position where I am first. And it's like, well, the point of this, I'm not a therapist, so I can't call it a therapy retreat. But a lot of people that come say they've tried therapy and this did way, like, it is similar to that, but arguably with better results, and more long-lasting results. Not to slag off therapy, it's really helpful, but it was more about understanding how you feel than actually always changing how you feel, and that's what people have told me. So yeah, people think they need to have this base level of understanding. No, you really don't. Whether you've been doing self-development stuff all your life or you haven't, it just works. I ran my first retreat, and I just thought people were going to leave feeling happier than they were when they came, and I didn't realize it was going to be as game changing as it was. So I'm very lucky and grateful to have stumbled upon something that really does genuinely work for everyone that steps in the door. The only person I would say that you may be not ready for it is if you are so consumed by your emotions that you can't concentrate in a workshop. It's not lecturing and teaching, it's activities and stuff. But if you're so I work with a lot of people with ADHD, so it's, if you've got ADHD and you lose concentrate, that's fine. But if you can't stop crying to do the work,
Yes.
we have tears all the time. Tears are great, tears, but so that's the only. I'm all about being real and being honest. And once we had one person who she was so like out of it mentally, that she couldn't focus on a workshop, and then I can't give her the tools because she's mentally out of it. But most people are not anywhere near that place.
No,
If you can hold a normal conversation, you're fine.
I mean, we've all probably met those people who are sitting there going, "Yeah, but I did," and you kind of go, "It's not a competition. We're not trying to compete to be the worst, in the worst pain, the worst upset, or whatever." And they're not ready
Yeah.
to change because they've made it their identity. I mean,
Yeah.
let's take because the retreats are amazing, and I've seen nothing but love, and I love how you actually go in and you tackle it, and you get into the trenches with people, and you explain how you fixed it, and then you help them find their particular paths. Say you had a bit of a chubby podcast host who came to you, he's coming to the retreats, this, suave, thinks he's like James Bond, but probably more like Mr. Bean. How would you start working with them? Like, what would you do with me at the retreat? Like, what are the kind of activities? I know you don't want to give away all your
Mm.
secrets, but what are what's the thing that you want me to come and be the best person I can be at these retreats and get the most from it?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. It is packed full. Some people joke that you leave more exhausted than when you came, and like I'm totally fine with that because it's not a holiday. I'm here to help you get long-lasting change, and like that's that's what I care about. So yeah, it's a whole like process. So many different workshops that all tie into each other. But I would say the first thing, like I'd probably just say, look at your language. Your language will explain so much about the way that you are, and starting to become, rather than being like just believing everything that your brain says, starting to be an observer of your thoughts. And like, if you notice you're saying something that doesn't make you feel good, challenging it. But yeah, I mean, at the retreat, we do Wim Hof, we do exercises to help you connect with the other people and realize that you're a lot more similar than you probably realize.
Wow.
We have a self-acceptance workshop. I get you to look at your image in your, this is a real spoiler and don't let it put you off. But you look at your reflection, looking back at you, and I help you to be able to look at this person without wanting to throw your phone across the room, and actually to be able to look at this person and find things that you like, which most people feel like is impossible, but it's not. We have an identity workshop, we have a confidence workshop. So so much that just starts chipping away at the stuff that is not serving you. Yeah.
So what would somebody get from it? I mean, like, what's the process to sign up? What's the process to attend? I mean, how do you do it so that you can let people be raw, vulnerable, open
Yeah.
to like potentially real pain, like deep
Yeah.
pain? How do you make sure it's in a safe setting and like basically a sales pitch for your retreats? Because I think
Oh, bless you.
so many people need to come on these, but it's difficult to kind of not turn into 50 different questions because there's so much I want to know about it. But what is it that somebody listening who thinks, bloody hell, she's a good, I really want to get work with her. How can we get into the process of signing up for the retreats and attending, etc.?
So there's a retreat in August that's 5 days in the UK, and then there's one in Greece, which is my bread and butter. We're just doing one in the UK to make it a little bit more accessible. And the Greece one's the full week. They both have the same workshops and everything in them. And there's a boat trip, and the boat trip's part of the confidence workshop. It's that everything's there for a reason, and that's in October. So you just go on the website and submit an application, just some simple questions for me to understand what you're wanting to work on and things like that. And then I'll pop you a message or an email, and then we'll have a chat. For a lot of people, even just getting on the phone or on a Zoom call is nerve-wracking, but you just got to ask yourself, like, how much do I want this change? Like thinking about where am I trying to get to? And that's all part of the process, even having that phone call. Some people said that who've come to the retreat said they nearly didn't turn up. And obviously they're so glad that they did turn up to that phone call. And then I'll let you know if I don't think you're a good fit. Not in a harsh way or anything. It really comes down to, are you somebody that's willing to listen to and support other people? Because it's really important, everyone there impacts everyone else. Are you somebody that you want change? You're willing to, even if you don't get it, or you want change enough to try this. And yeah, are you willing to take that step? And then we'll sort of go from there. And if you are successful, then I'll give you all the details to book on. And up until the retreat, I have somebody else who is a Samaritan, who's part of the team. So he is obviously exceptional at being a safe and supportive ear. We are here all the stuff of the way. You need someone to help you book your flights. You need someone to help with logistical support. You just want to have a chat because you're feeling anxious about it. We go above and beyond, because it's not about the money. I'm not a businesswoman. I'm obsessed with helping. Like, it is possible to feel better. I've done it myself. I've seen other people do it. And so I hate it when people are like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work for me. It will. So much so that, like, to make you feel better, if it doesn't, which it will, I'll continue working with you at absolutely no cost. And I previously have also worked, and currently still do, work with an organisation called Beyond Equality. We go into, my area in it is universities. So I'll go in and I could be working with 20 rugby players. And I have to basically, within 2 hours, kind of within the first half an hour, help them feel comfortable enough in that space to open up about how they feel.
That's skillful.
Or football players, and they walk in and they're like, I don't know what this is. Why do we have to do this? And you can tell they don't want to be there. They don't get it. I wouldn't want to be there in a quality workshop. I know it's important, but it sounds boring. And by the end of it, they're so grateful. They're like, I've never heard some of these guys share these things, and I feel like we all kind of bond so much. But and through that work, I'm so grateful for Beyond Equality, because it taught me how to create a safe space within a very short space of time. Nothing can ever be a fully safe space. Could be an earthquake, could be I'm not in control of every aspect of the universe, but me and this guy as well, who's worked with Samaritans, we do have the skills to make sure that even if you don't believe it, you will feel safe. And within sort of a few hours of being at the retreat, people are like, I feel like I've known everyone my whole life. I didn't think I'd cry this soon. I didn't think I'd share this much. It's totally up to you how much you share. But there are some things that we do on that first day that mean that you will feel right at home very soon. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, because you certainly do that. Because I mean, it feels like 10 minutes I've been speaking to you, and like I've just been open and honest. And I know it's been an hour and 22 minutes. So I'm so sorry for using up so much of your time. But
It's been a pleasure. It's been enjoyable. Yeah.
how do you get to that point though to stop people? I'm going to help this one, this one, this one. You know, like I make the jokes thinking I'm helping people settle in and do all these kind of things. Where in reality, I'm probably still beating myself up by using that as an excuse. Or how do you stop people? I'm going to help Billy. I'm going to help Jean. I'm going to help whoever, rather than help themselves. How do we avoid that pitfall of thinking we're being supportive and helping others by talking through their thing by avoiding our own thing? Does that ever come up?
Were you saying that you use humor as a way to bypass your own discomfort in that situation? Is that what
Well,
you...
it's more kind of like, how do we avoid helping other people and using that as an avoidance of ourselves? You know, like in the retreat, how do you avoid somebody just talking and going, "Oh, John, oh yeah, what about this? What about this?" But not actually tackling their own issues. Does that ever come up? Like they want to be
Yeah, I mean,
the button kind of thing.
occasionally people try to help others, but there's more this expectation that's my job and the team's job, and they're
Yeah.
there to sort of just be a listening ear and to remind each other of the tools. So we have this big community on WhatsApp, and people will ask like questions or share something they're maybe struggling with or has come up, whether it's a family related thing, and people will typically offer their suggestions, but they're usually rooted in the tools that I've
Right.
sort of suggested. So it kind of comes back to these core this core stuff. So people just more need to be reminded than taught. I find so. Yeah.
Because it definitely, for me, I noticed when I first started this journey, I would be like, "What about this? What about this? You could try GPT. You could say that," and I knew that I had that same problem, but I wasn't going to address it. But I felt like I was being productive by saying, "Oh, CBT, NLP did it. Oh, what about this like pickup thing? What about this?
Yeah.
What about?" And I wasn't tackling any of my own stuff. And then I would see
Yeah.
them go and improve themselves, and I would feel jealous, and I'd be like, "This is the most idiotic thing," you know, rather than tackling my
Yeah.
own stuff. So it is.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I'd say that I did the work before I started trying to help other people, so that was definitely very helpful. Obviously, it is an ongoing process, and there's things that crop up, but usually I'm pretty open with them, and if there is something, or at least I'll try to figure out how to help myself with that thing to then share what I did, and therefore I can use that to help other people as well. But yeah, I mean, I think you maybe will recognize if you were sharing something that might help somebody else, but internally you're not doing that thing and you should be doing it, or it will feel a little empty, and when you leave that conversation, you'll not feel very good. Versus if you have done it, you'll feel really good because you feel like, oh my God, I've used my experience to help somebody else, and now hopefully we can both feel good. So maybe just check in with yourself afterwards to see how you're feeling, and if there is that feeling of, I've just suggested they do that, but I'm not doing that, go and bloody do it.
It's a great avoidance tool, isn't it, to kind of say, well, I helped them do it, so technically I can take some of the credit from that. But I mean,
Yeah.
I would love to do like deep dives in a lot of other stuff, and we'll have to get you back on because it's been an absolute pleasure. You're so easy to chat to, and there's so many things, even for my own personal stuff, I'd be like, what about? But
Yeah.
what would you want people to take from this? Like what? Because your podcast's amazing, the retreats sound life changing. But what would you want people to remember? Is it just a case of you can change no matter the position you're in, or how would you sum up this, or what would you want them to take?
Yeah. I would say it starts with thinking, how do you want to feel? Not what do you want to achieve? What do you want to, what house do you want? How do you want to feel? And then kind of, this is how I started, treating yourself like an experiment and just seeing, okay, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to see how much I can make myself feel this way. And you will then find your own techniques within it. You might use some things that I've shared in here, and there for general, like everyone will feel better from using the tools that I've suggested, the prompts, the questions, the comedy before bed. But maybe your thing is like, you've got such a chaotic household, you've got such a full-on job, and you say, I want to feel calmer or more at peace. Okay, how could you make yourself feel that way more today? And then you will gradually start aligning your thoughts and your life with that feeling, and then you will start feeling that way. So it really starts with, how do you want to feel more of the time? And then just play with that for the next 2 weeks. Play with that. Remind yourself of that every day. Write it on a Post-it note opposite your bed. Peace. Okay, that's the goal for today, to see what I can do to make myself feel that way. Do that for 2 weeks, just experimenting with it. Maybe there's certain foods that make you feel more at peace. Maybe there's a certain walk, a certain, just explore that excitement. What makes you feel excitement? Is it a TV show? It might be. What are the things that make you feel that way? And just start exploring and experimenting with that. And lo and behold, after 2 weeks, you will probably feel that way a bit more, but then carry it on. So how do you want to feel? Start exploring that feeling more. That's what I would say.
I can't listen to an episode of your show without getting something from it. But how can we keep in touch? How can we see this journey? How can we, listen to the podcast? How can we look at the retreat information? What's your social media handles? How can we follow this amazing journey? And the TED Talks are definitely coming.
Fingers crossed. Throw in a good word for me. So you can find my podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Project You podcast by Izzie Miller. Pretty much, if you, without being sort of big-headed, if you search Izzie Miller, IZZIEMILLER on Spotify, on your podcast apps, on social media, and on Google, I should come up. Maybe it's just my own echo chamber. But yeah, Izzie.Miller_ on Instagram, Izzie.Miller on TikTok. I share a lot of tips, so much free stuff. Find me on YouTube as well. I want to, but if you can't afford to work with me, that's absolutely fine. I just want to help. All of that stuff is available for free. And if it does help, please let me know. That's the thing that feels like a reward the most, is knowing that somebody got value from what I'm sharing. So please do, don't be afraid to DM me or anything like that. And www.izziemiller.com is the website where you can find out all about the retreats and so forth. So yeah, Izzie Miller. That's where you should find everything.
Well, that's it for another week. And thank you for listening. It's now time to take what you've learned and use it to develop and enhance your life with the key points mentioned. Listen, try it, embrace it, use it, and crush it. Now's your time to hit that next level in your life. If you liked this episode, then please leave a comment on the show notes or a review of the show on your podcast platform. Everything helps evolve the show. Until next week, keep seeking the next level in your life.